I am Rajaul. I am old, 44 years old. I am get physiotherapy training from MDKDM, but MDKDM give the certificate assistant physiotherapy, but it is assistant physiotherapist. Assistant physiotherapist anywhere Bangladesh, anywhere to work little difficult. Little means like difficult. So for that I am again get diploma in physiotherapy 4 years. 4 years I and get the diploma. Now work for me is easy to anywhere and also our program. But now I am tension free to work because I have certificate. It's okay. If everybody agree to this MD and continue this program support, I will agree to work because I am enjoy to work in SARPV.
A little before 9 a.m., Rezaul arrives at the Chakaria Disability Centre. The centre opened its doors in 2001 when SARPV, a Bengali NGO set up to combat handicap, and two French NGOs, Kiné du Monde, more commonly known as KDM, and Aide Médicale et Développement, known as AMD, decided to create a program to help fight disability in Chakaria's children. At the start, construction of the centre, equipment installation, team building, and the treatment of patients all overlap, a marked difference from the way that humanitarian programs are usually put together. In those early years, obstacles and criticisms were daily occurrences, but today the sun is rising over Chakaria and the day promises to be rich and rewarding. Every morning, the team meets up with the centre administrator. Kazi goes over the successes of the previous day and each person shares their current work.
At first morning meeting 9 a.m. to and finish 9:30 a.m.
This morning's meeting is also the chance to plan and to organise the day ahead. 5 physiotherapists, 5 orthoprothetists, 6 field monitors, a surgeon and a doctor, all Bengali, share the work. This local team is also supported for 3 to 4 months each year by a group of volunteers from AMD and KDM.
So with the team, you will need to develop communication tools like poster.
Every day, consultations are carried out in the main Chakaria Disability Centre as well as in sub-centres. Screening programmes are run throughout the countryside, whilst at the main centre, braces and prostheses for arms and legs are produced. 3 to 4 months each year are devoted to carrying out vital surgical operations in Chittagong's hospital. Patients arrive at the centre and consultations start around 9:30 a.m. Zia is one of the field monitors. His first job is to find the patient's file or to create a new one if necessary. A patient number is attributed to each file, then Zia needs to take note of the reasons for the consultation and calculate the family score or social level for each child.
socio-economic level. There is a from 0 to 4. There is a 5 level. If it is 0, we say it is very much hardcore poor, and if it is 1, it is hardcore poor. If it is 2, poor. If it is 3, middle rich, and if it is 3, completely rich. So number 4 is completely rich. Okay. So we ask money for every patient like social level, according to social level.
This social level is used to work out how much the families will be asked to contribute towards treatment costs. Families in Bangladesh are rarely able to pay for expensive treatments, so we have created a solidarity fund which enables us to cover that part of the costs that the families are not able to contribute. This solidarity fund is made up of donations from European but also Bengali supporters of the project.
So this system is very good because this kinds of system every patient can take treatment. Yes.
The next step in preparing the file is to take photos of the child's current condition. Photos are taken throughout the treatment process and are a key element in the evaluation of the effectiveness of the treatment. It's also a simple way for the children and their families to appreciate the progress being made. The registration process finished, the consultation can now begin. The first patient is Rachel. His legs are deformed and cause him much suffering when he walks. In this particular region in Bangladesh, there is an epidemic of leg deformity in children. Shahid Al-Haq, the founder of SARPV, was the first to discover this mysterious illness in 1991.
By this time, in 1991, there was another cyclone, and I noticed a large number of people became affected, and from different parts of the world people are coming. And again I went to the Chakaria to see the situation. When I was in Chakaria and with my team to help the severely injured person, at that time where we stayed in Chakaria, we find every day there are some children are coming with the patients, those who have some sorts of the deformities. So I was noticing that what these deformities, because I thought these deformities will lead the child in future as a physical disability. Then I took some of the children, Dr. Bullock, who was nearby Chakaria in Malumghat Hospital. And Dr. Bullock and myself was thinking that what this is, and Bullock told me this might be the ricket. And with this, my intention was, if we don't take care of this, a large number of children will be the disabled after a few days. Being a disabled, I thought I should take this to the people so that they take care of this to stop the disability.
Shahida is 18. She has been suffering from leg deforming rickets since her childhood. The illness starts with leg pain, then, little by little, the legs become deformed. Shahida's family has taken her to see many doctors over the years, but none have managed to successfully treat her. Today is her first meeting with our team. Ershad and Richter, two of the centre's physiotherapists, measure the degree of malformation and analyze knee ligament distension.
City medially 1 plus.
1 plus. Left.
Right.
After left.
An X-ray will be carried out to evaluate treatment possibilities, which include an operation on her legs.
Or by the brace. Yes. So if you want to correct, and another thing is growth place is finished.
Yes.
So osteotomy.
Only solution will be osteotomy.
Rasoul, the physiotherapist responsible for the surgery, will explain to Shahida and her family how the operation is performed. While certain children such as Shahida require surgical treatment, 95% can be treated solely through medical means so long as the treatment is started early enough. As this generally requires treatment before the age of 6, a network for sub-centres for early screening and treatment has been developed. This morning, part of the team is going to visit one of these sub-centres on the island of Moheshgali, a short distance from Chakaria. To get there requires transportation by minibus, then by boat, and finally by rickshaw. After travelling for almost 2 hours, Bernard Parent, the doctor in charge of the programme's coordination, arrives at the sub-centre in Moheshgali, where the patients are waiting for their appointments. This morning, Bernard spends some time in discussion with Murshid, the physiotherapist in charge of the sub-centre, and Nur Alam, a field monitor. Rickets in Bangladesh is not due to a lack of vitamin D, but results from the low quantity of calcium available in food. In this area of Bangladesh, this terrible epidemic affects thousands of children.
So almost zero?
Almost zero, sir.
Zero, okay. Maybe. Is a big size of wicket. Okay? X is very clear. Is a beginning of cupping. This is 1, 2, 3.
Murshid explains the treatments to the families, insisting on the importance of taking the calcium supplements daily, as well as the necessity to return for another appointment in 3 months' time, in order to ensure that the treatment is working properly. Nur Alam administers the medical treatment, consisting simply of calcium tablets that the child must take every day. The treatment is accompanied by advice to help increase the daily calcium ration in the child's food.
Alors on leur conseille de donner aux enfants des petits poissons petits tels qu'ils puissent être mangés avec les arêtes. On leur conseille de leur donner des graines de sésame qui sont riches en calcium, des produits contenant du lait si on peut en avoir, de mettre du tchoun, c'est une pâte condimentaire, dans l'eau de cuisson du riz et de servir le riz avec l'eau de cuisson. Mais surtout et avant tout, de leur donner des légumes verts, surtout les légumes verts et crus, et s'ils sont cuits, de les leur donner avec l'eau de cuisson, de façon à ce que le calcium soit contenu dans l'assiette. Voilà, ça c'est les 5 conseils diététiques qui sont donnés au moment en Bengali et par des petits dessins. Voilà.
This child is called Dibo. Unfortunately, his malformation is too extensive to be left only to medical treatment. He will receive calcium for a year and then will be treated surgically.
Good nutrition.
In the most severe cases, an operation is the only possible solution. Surgery is carried out at the Mother and Child Hospital in Chittagong, 100 kilometers to the north of Chakaria. This part of the program is undoubtedly the most widely acclaimed aspect, but it's also the most controversial and risky. Whilst consultations continue in Chakaria and Moeshgali this morning, Dr. Taslim is preparing to operate on one of the children from Chakaria. He is assisted by Thierry Craviari, one of the programme's voluntary surgeons. Since 2002, 4 to 5 voluntary surgeons have provided their assistance between January and March every year. The first child to benefit from surgery this morning isn't suffering from rickets. He has infantile cerebral hemiplegia, but this morning is being operated on to lengthen his Achilles tendon.
Yes, I am Dr. Taslim, very little orthopedic surgeon in Bangladesh, and I am working with France orthopedics team for a long time, for nearly about 10 years, and I am very happy to say that it is a good opportunity for me to work with France orthopedics team, and I am very happy to work with them. And this is the first operation what I have done in front of my great teacher, Dr. Thierry.
The whole surgical program is carried out in this hospital. An important training and renovation program, including the installation of new equipment, has been made possible by the teams from AMD. Voluntary nurses have been responsible for coordinating this part of the program over the last 11 years. It's thanks to these volunteers that it has been possible to create such good operating conditions, with an infection rate of less than 1%, the same as in Europe.
De Chittagong, du Maoshichu Hospital, qui est un hôpital d'enfants, mère-enfant, eh bien c'est tout d'abord de faire un état des lieux des unités de soins où vont être hospitalisés nos enfants, une unité pour les femmes, les filles, et une unité pour les hommes. La deuxième grosse partie, c'est effectivement de vérifier que toutes les boîtes que vous voyez qui sont attribuées à un certain type d'intervention, qu'elles soient conformes donc aux procédures qui avaient été établies donc voilà quelques années déjà par Christine et qui ont été améliorées au fil des ans. La formation, eh bien, on voit très bien qu'elle a bien fonctionné puisque au bout de 4 à 5 jours, eh bien, effectivement, mon rôle n'est plus qu'un rôle, je dirais, de superviseur et surtout de vérifier eh bien, que le matériel ne manque pas et de réapprovisionner si du matériel ou si des instruments manquaient ou faisaient effectivement des faillances. Et alors là, eh bien, je me transforme quelquefois en ouvrier technique pour remettre en état certaines pièces qui sont un peu défaillantes. Parce que, effectivement, je vous l'ai déjà dit, les personnels ont très peu changé et ça c'est un gros avantage. Parce qu'on a connu des périodes où effectivement les personnels chaque année étaient remplacés et chaque année on devait refaire. Là depuis quelques années on a un personnel permanent et constant. Je vous présente donc notre infirmière référente en orthopédie, Ivy, qui nous accompagne depuis 3 ans, voire 4 ans. Et vraiment nous obtenons de très bons résultats avec Ivy. C'est une très bonne collaboration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much benefit for the poor people, hard poor people, and benefit also for the Bangladesh surgeon and Bangladesh society. Because many of Bangladesh surgeons know now that France orthopedics team working there, they are helping this. So they learn many things from this operation also. So I think it is very good.
The Mother and Child Hospital in Chittagong has been associated with our 3 associations, AMD, KDM and SARPV, since 2005. Strong relationships have been established little by little with the entire orthopaedic team at the hospital, and notably with the head of department, Professor Hussein. However, it is undoubtedly Professor Karim, president of this hospital, who is one of the strongest supporters of this close collaboration and its outstanding benefits.
We want to render services to people. Press team is rendering service to our people, Bangladeshi people, unfortunate people in Chakaria area. In fact, there are more areas where these rickets are prevalent. But they are helping us. Why can't I be a part of it? The whole thing is that we want to take part of this activity of rickets control and rickets treatment. I feel very much that this training, this working is very much helpful for our doctors and nurses. Because now I see that the doctor and the nurse who is working with you is more capable, is better. Team cases are separate, operation theatre is dedicated, nurses are trained, doctors are trained. So this is an ideal situation for us to follow in other departments also. And particularly orthopedic department has come from a very small situation to a big situation now. Now we can do more operations, we can do more surgery.
At the end of the morning, once the operations are over, patients are returned to the communal wards where surveillance and post-op care will be carried out. In Chakaria, the morning's work has also finished, and at approximately 1:30 p.m. the team take a break for lunch.
So I help the patient all the time. I try to help the patient in physiotherapy patients who need the physiotherapy, in adult patient, CP patient also, and some of help with rickets patient. In a field area, my responsible area in Ramu and Koksazar. In here also lots of rickets patient and others patient also. In Bangladesh, it's not available women physiotherapy. So I feel comfortable work with the adult patient. And some of CP patients who need the physiotherapy. CP patients, they are also neglected in Bangladesh. They feel also comfort feel that the patient physiotherapy, many kinds of therapy with toy or technique, and they also comfort feel. So I like it.
After lunch, consultations start up again, this time for clubfoot pathologies. Clubfoot is a congenital illness. Children are born with deformed feet, and walking becomes more and more difficult as time goes on.
I'm Ashad. I'm physiotherapist. I am in SARPV from 2001. Since a long time I am doing work about the clubfoot. He is a Firdaus clubfoot patient, neglected clubfoot patient. So now I did 5 plaster, and it is quite ready for the surgery. Dr. Seri have seen this patient and he selected for surgery, and after 2 plaster.
Since 2010, we have used the Ponseti technique in Chakaria with the full support of Professor Frank Chotel, Dr. Vincent Cunin and their team from the Mother and Child Hospital in Lyon in France. The advantages of the Ponseti technique lie in its simplicity, low costs and the high quality results it provides. It is very well adapted to developing countries. The earlier treatment is started, the better the the result. KDM physiotherapists such as Dominique spend time in Chakaria each year to train and evaluate the Bengali team. The first step in treatment is to produce reduction plaster casts of the child's feet, which are regularly changed as the feet change. The technique for making and using these casts is now well mastered by Chakaria's team of physiotherapists. This child has already benefited from 5 different plaster casts. He is now ready for the second stage of treatment, Achilles tenotomy, where the Achilles tendon is sectioned under local anesthetic.
First procedure is washing. You can start now.
This part of the treatment is carried out independently by the local Bengali team throughout the year at the Chakaria Centre.
There. We give some local injection there, something like that. Then turn. Then bas. Yes, thank you. It is very simple procedure. You have seen that we first identify the tendon, then we give some local anesthesia over the tendon sheet. Then we wait for 2 to 3 minutes for local anesthesia. Then we identify again and give blade, BP blade, just medial to the tendon, and we get one crack sound that it is completed. After that, we are doing now plaster.
After the tenotomy, a plaster cast is once again put in place, this time for a month. After removal of this final cast, the children's feet generally look normal. This is when the third stage takes place. It requires the production of a foot abduction brace, which is vital to prevent the club foot from relapse. The families learn how to install the braces, and as the children grow, they are seen regularly to change the braces.
It's one kind of DB splint. It's a new design DB splint. So I do after 3 days like this. So
the braces are manufactured by the ortho team in the Chakaria Centre's workshop. Hassan, one of the ortho prosthetists, is in charge.
Our teacher, Guillaume, also Dr. Jack, they are teach me how to do. So I am learn. So I am also now continue making the DB splint.
5 ortho prosthetists work in the workshop: Debashish, Hassan, Ehassan, Rina and Liton. The braces produced in Chakaria are the same in all key respects as those that are to be found in Europe. The workshop in Chakaria has become a reference centre over the years in the local region and the pride of the Chakaria Centre. This has only been possible thanks to the commitment by volunteers from KDM and, in particular, Guillaume Chouben. Whilst the foot abduction brace comes in standard sizes, other types of apparatus initially require the production of a mould. Hassan makes foot moulds from plaster. He then cuts the plaster in such a way as to obtain a negative of the foot. Rina, one of the other orthoprothetists, uses this mould to obtain the precise form of the foot in its correct position. To do this, she fills it with liquid plaster. This plaster mould of the foot enables débashish and liton to produce the brace by thermomoulding. After heating the thermoplastic, they apply it to the plaster mould. A suction machine is used to remove the air between the plastic and the mould in order to obtain the perfect shape. The mould is then cut out by débashish.
Here, then I will remove, then I'll do the finishing, then I'll try with the patient. 1, 2, 3.
Once the brace is finished, it can be rapidly tested by the patient. Prostheses for amputees are made using the same system in the Chakaria workshop. Hassan is now an expert at producing prostheses for missing limbs.
Now wait for patient come after that.
Okay.
Now work is now finished.
Tumpa had her leg amputated many years ago after a road accident. Today is going to be her first time trying out her prosthesis. It's been so long since Tumpa has been able to walk using 2 legs that her first steps are a little hesitant. A year later, Tumpa's life has been transformed. She's now able to walk normally when she comes for her follow-up appointment. But let's get back to the workshop. Another of the orthoprosthetists' talents is the production of apparatus for children suffering from cerebral palsy.
I have a CP here for CP patient. Is a backbone problem and head control problem. Always controlling here. I fitting to bell here to here. This CP patient sitting here. 3 to 6 months day by day improve for sitting position and head controller.
Cerebral palsy is a source of severe disability in children in Bangladesh. These children are typically shunned by society, and there are no care services available. And yet, therapeutic opportunities do exist. Jacques Grison, a doctor specializing in physical re-education, has been coordinating this part of the program since 2003. At the same time, Shetu, one of the centre's physiotherapists, is the local person in charge of cerebral palsy. This afternoon, she is carrying out a therapy session with Aminuddin. She explains to the child's mother that the therapy must be done on a daily basis by the family. Cerebral palsy affects different children in different ways. Some have problems walking, whilst the most severely disabled are not even able to sit up. These physical problems are often accompanied by mental deficiency psychiatric problems, and epilepsy. Apparatus is often used to help support physical therapy programs. For example, Hassan and Rina have made a standing frame to help Aminuddin. This disability is often linked to difficult or premature births, or an infection or stroke before or during birth, as well as other causes. It is extremely frequent in Bangladesh and the third most frequent reason for consultations at the Chakaria Disability Centre. Meanwhile, a completely different type of consultation is taking place in the countryside. This field visit is being held in a private courtyard on loan for the occasion. Ruqeya, Richter's assistant, has installed a height gauge, a set of scales and a table, and has started measuring and weighing the children. Weight, height and arm diameter give a good idea of the children's nutritional health. Then the consultations can start.
Donc il a des genoux cagneux. Les genoux cagneux en anglais c'est knock knees. Knock knees ça veut dire qu'il est valgus, valgus. Ses genoux sont... Voilà, donc on va mesurer.
The mysterious rickets that ravages the Chakaria region affects thousands of children. Whilst the major cause of rickets is a lack of calcium in food, proven by the efficacy of medical calcium supplements, numerous questions remain as to the exact origins of this epidemic. Research has still not entirely solved this mystery.
Not big abnormality.
Yeah.
No.
Not big abnormality.
Not big abnormality.
It is little, but
Okay.
he already improving. In lot of time we consultation him. It's more time. She improving little by little. At first time when I see him, that time I find rickets it's 10/7 in X-ray. So I give calcium. She continue take calcium. Then I take measurement him. It is good way.
Whether it be rickets, clubfoot, or any other type of disability, early care means cheaper and more efficient treatments. This is why early screening is so important. Field visits enable the team to reach out to the local population much more easily. After seeing 20 or so children, the consultations are finished. Bernard is now able to join Zia, a field monitor, to make home visits. These important visits allow the health workers to re-emphasize the importance of their nutritional advice and to provide personalized follow-up care.
Salam alaikum.
Yes, on a bathroom, sonar team. Toilet again on a bathroom of this soon. Soon, even on a got a boosted remember, Kunuzara Random. Fazondele, Mazon, Kedira, Kedimaja, a exam is for even some exam is due. Arriba, do some of good.
This mother is proud to show us around her garden, where she is cultivating green-leaved vegetables rich in calcium. She cooks the vegetables for her whole family, thus limiting the risk of rickets in her other children.
With the mother? Yes. Mother? Well, that's easy. No.
In a school courtyard, Zia finishes his day with a meeting to talk about screening methods and the prevention of rickets.
অনেক সুযোগ না যখন মোটামুটি অনেক মানে কি আছে এর মধ্যে প্রচুর পরিমাণ ক্যালসিয়াম আছে এই যে তিলক দানা এবার যদি অনেক বাচ্চা যদি প্রতিদিন যদি 2 চামচ যদি পিষিয়ে যদি অনেক খাবন দেয় হ্যাঁ তাহলে গরম মধ্যে ইনহেল দিবে কিনে এই রুকিবার সহায়ক বাথরুম মধ্যে যে সুন অনারা খাইবান 1 কেজি চালের মধ্যে 2 চিমটি পরিমাণ সুন মানে 1 চা চামচ পরিমাণ সুন দিয়ে না যখন রান্না করিবেন বা তোমার ক্যালসিয়াম হলে রুক্কান হইব এই রুক্কা যদি হনিকা তো টাইম বাইরে ফুড়ি মাছ আমরা এটা পাওয়া যায় পুরো পাওয়া যায় ছোট ছোট মাছ fish, soda, small fish.
Meanwhile, in Chittagong, the day's operations are finished, and the afternoon has been given over to consultations, visiting the children who have had surgery, and planning the following day's surgery. There are 2 big wards to visit, one for the men and boys, and one for the women and girls. Discharge details are finalised, including medication, braces, and important last-minute advice for the families and children. Once the ward visit is over, it's time to return to Chakaria. Rezaoul, Patrice and Shaboudine, the driver, accompany the children and their parents to the minibus ready for the return journey.
Now I am coming from Chittagong with the patient from the hospital. Now to Chakaria. Now I am in near Chakaria. I was trying to come yesterday. I no possible to come yesterday for strike because hard strike.
হসপিটালৰ আৰু কেংগৰি যাই পিনে নাৰায়ণ চিকিৎসা চলি
আর মানুষ তো খবর জানি যে সিয়ার একটা হসপিটাল করে
SARPV
ইয়ার মাঝে তো বাইক চালিয়ে গই যাই ওনারা
SARP like that patient is treatment and he came in our SARP and he looking our activities, he believe our treatment and he agreed to treat and SARP, and also he told me he decide to operation and France surgeon decide to operation, father and also agree to operation. Now is 100% is happy. He also told me now, so will be he have patient is like that, he send our program, our center, city center.
Tanya, her father and sister are almost home. Shaboudine bargains the price of the mini taxi in order to take the family to their front door. After a little more than 3 hours on the road, Shaboudine and Rezaoul finally arrive back at Chakaria, where they join the rest of the team who are finishing up their day. With all the patients finally having left, Nuraisha gives the floor a last sweep.
This morning, we saw many patients, and evening we enjoy all of patients.
Each physiotherapist spends some time typing up the day's activities in the database. all patient details can be recorded in the computing system. The whole team are now practiced at using the system. It's a key element in following up the children and organising the administrative side of the project. It's taken almost 10 years to finalise this practical computing tool. All this thanks to the voluntary work of Jean Onlay, a Belgian computer programmer. Taslima, the accountant, archives the day's invoices. She records the day's income and expenditure. Whilst we appreciate that the project's supporters are confident that their donations are being well spent, it is still very important to record the daily activities and accounts in order to justify spending and improve program's efficiency. The centre's administrative work is extremely important as it keeps a record of all the centre's activities, and this is just as important as its medical work. It helps to keep the centre running smoothly. However, in spite of the efforts made by everyone, problems and uncertainties are unfortunately a regular occurrence, largely due to the difficulties of financing such a project.
The way in which the Bangladesh program is financed is complicated, because there are so many different aspects of the project. There are two means by which the program is financed. Investment costs are covered by foundations. In particular, we are very lucky to be annually supported by the Amber Foundation. They have complete confidence in the way in which we manage our projects. The foundations therefore help to cover one part of the cost, but there still remain all the everyday running costs to deal with. This includes salaries for the local doctor team, the materials necessary for the plaster casts, braces, etc. All the surgical instruments and materials. It's a constant challenge to find long-lasting sources of income to cover this everyday running cost, and of course, we receive no subsidies to help with this. Our solution has been to create a sponsorship program, but obviously means keeping our sponsors closely informed and motivated about the Chakaria Center's activities, so that they really understand just how important their contributions are. Methods of keeping sponsors informed include the Solidarity Fire that we have organized today. This Solidarity Fire is a good way for informing the population of Gap in France about our program. We are also able to sell logs for €2 apiece, a small amount of money, but each year we are able to collect between 40 and 45,000 euros. You can imagine the number of logs we are going to need to sell to collect such an amount. Selling wood is just one way we collect funds. Another is to organize dinner dances. Each year we organize a party to bring together over a meal our sponsors and the other supporters. These evenings help to keep everyone motivated. It must be said that many of our supporters are friends and their local patients, as well as our families. With everyone's help, we are able to continue financing the project each year. But, as I have already said, it is a very precarious way in which to raise funds, and we find it difficult to imagine what the future holds of the program. We all have, myself in particular, many doubts about how we will be able to keep the project going in the future if we continue relying only on the support of our relatively small number of faithful sponsors. It is very difficult to envisage the long-term project that we all dream of.
The uncertainty and precariousness of the situation are felt by the whole of the local team in Chakaria. Since we produced this film, Rikta, Kobir and Shudia have left the centre for jobs that are more secure and better paid. Shahabuddin, the centre's chauffeur, is starting to ask himself questions.
How can I increase, how can I develop with my family, with my kids? I have 2 kids because I need their school cost, I need their fooding cost, I need their dress, for everything. So that's why. And sometimes I thinking I live from here, from this job. And sometimes I think if I live from here, so there is this is good work. So I'm thinking for humanities. I'm thinking for poor patient.
whilst Kazi, the centre's administrator, is still very committed to devoting himself entirely to the project.
I feel very much proud to work this because of this is the very human being. I am capable to go outside. I have this capacity, but from my inside my mind, I don't want, because of every time I see different kinds of patient and also the poor and hardcore poor patient. It's a big support to continue this work. I have not the too much big salary, but my big salary is the all my I like with the French people to continue work with them, and also the help of the poor people in my place. This is the big place for me to continue good work because of the best human being.
The importance of the commitment made to the programme by the Mother and Child Hospital in Chittagong must also be emphasised.
Our idea when we started this project is friends will not be here for eternity. I would like that we gradually, as we are doing now, every year we are entertaining one physiotherapist, and until now we have been doing four. Next year we'll increase some. So we gradually get into it and more or less be involved more actively with Chakaria center, so that it becomes our project when the French team and SARPV will not be with us. It becomes our satellite project. We should never leave that project.
Another problem is the sheer size of the task that the team in Chakaria is facing. The rickets epidemic is by far the biggest in the world, and new cases are discovered every day.
When I did my job in Coxsbazar, many times, a lot of time, every weekly, I find some new patient. Why it is increasing the rickets? It is industry, rickets industry. in Cox's division. So
This is incredible. I think that the world needs to know that there is a rickets industry in this area, and the world needs to understand it is a public health problem, and something needs to be done. We are there, we try our best. You are 5 physiotherapists, 6 field monitors. How can you treat thousands and thousands of patients? It is impossible.
However, there is still hope. Early screening is starting to show positive results, and the number of severe cases decreases each year. The children and families consult much sooner and can benefit from early treatment. This is true not only in the case of rickets, but also for all the types of disability that affect the children in this area. Ismatara is one of the children who has been able to take advantage of early care. By starting treatment before the age of 6, positive results can be achieved among 92% of cases, with rickets healed and pain and limb malformation avoided without surgery.
She is Ismatara. He is old, 10 years. She was bulgus, leg deformity, and she knew his father, parents knew our field monitor, his awareness in school. She knew in treatment like that deformity, treatment SARPV in Mohishkali, and after she completely is leg straight and axis is good and she improved, and she's family so much happy. Also is Ismatara so much happy. Ismatara now is class 3. He continue school.
Thanks to this experience, we have made early screening and treatment a major aim of our programme. In order to do this, we have started an ambitious construction programme of sub-centres around Chakaria. Ukiah, Ramu, Moashgali, and Lohagara are advanced consultation centers that are the basis for our screening network. Surgery is just as important as the medical treatment being provided, and we are proud of the results obtained.
Also, when patient doing surgery and after when they work normally, like me, like other person, then I am feel it is I cannot speak. Is what I if I cannot speak. It is very useful for our patient because our surgery most of 95, 6, 7 like that is improved, 100% improved.
Bacha Mia is one of the children suffering from rickets who benefited from surgery. He was suffering from an extremely severe form of rickets causing a windswept leg deformity, thus preventing him from walking. Osteotomy was carried out on both legs and plaster casts were applied for 3 months. The operation resulted in Bacha Mia regaining straight and planeless legs and the ability to walk. He was able to learn to be a carpenter and he has now set up his own business. The operation has quite literally changed his whole life. Hundreds of other children like Bacha Mia have had their lives transformed by surgery provided by the Chakaria Centre. The centre has thus become a centre of excellence where doctors send their most disabled children.
Chattogram Medical College and Mao Shishu and Dhaka, many hospitals refer to patient our center because patient improve, many doctor, many person believe our program.
Yasmin is one such child. She was sent to us as a last resort by the doctors at the Chittagong University Hospital. She was suffering from a retraction of the arm and hand caused by a severe burn when she was a small child. Surgery released her fingers, her elbow and her shoulder, then skin grafts were carried out. The final results are spectacular. Yasmin is now able to join other children of her age at school, where she is learning to read and write. The Chakaria Disability Centre is also referred to for the quality of its workshop. The prostheses and braces made there are of almost the same quality as those produced in Europe in better equipped workshops. Tartilla came to see us with an unusual illness, the congenital absence of one of her tibias. The deformed leg was firstly amputated by our surgeons, then a prosthesis was produced by the workshop in Chakaria. Today, Tartilla is able to walk without any assistance or crutches. She joins her friends every day on the way to school. The Clubfoot program is also much acclaimed, with the children who are treated in Chakaria benefiting from the high-quality Ponseti treatment, which is currently recognized worldwide for its excellent results.
Ponseti. Yes. Ponseti is an excellent technique to correction the clubfoot patient.
Abdul Karim is one of the children suffering from clubfoot who was able to take advantage of our team's expertise. Initially, reduction plaster casts were used, then surgery was performed, and finally, thanks to braces and physiotherapy, he was able to stand at last. Today, Abdul Karim has no problems walking as far as he likes and without any pain.
Now he is reading at class 2. So it is very good success for our SARPV, AMD and KDM. If we don't do any cheaper treatment, so this patient completely disabled, physically disabled. So we did excellent work for him.
During the last 15 years, more than 1,000 children have had surgery. 3,500 have been fitted with braces or prostheses, and 30,000 have received medical treatment or physiotherapy. Quite aside from the quality of care, it's our financial solidarity program that has enabled even the children of the poorest families to be treated.
So we are asking money to all kinds of patients according to social level, and they are going to have it. They are using their feelings that okay, here is something different between the other hospital, other NGO office, other organization. So this is exceptional office in Bangladesh.
The long-term engagement by the local Chakaria team has enabled them to become progressively independent. Ershad, for example, is now an expert in the treatment of club foot. Rezaul takes care of the surgical side of the program. Shetu has slowly acquired the skills necessary to take care of children suffering from cerebral palsy. Debashish was able to undergo training in Mobility India, one of the best orthoprothesist training centres. He is therefore naturally the person in charge of the Chakaria workshop, but his responsibilities don't stop there. He is also extremely involved in the training of the rest of the team.
Name of this part? Yesterday I have.
Above all, the best reason to keep hope in the future is to look at the smiles on our patients' faces. Patients such as Rebecca, our first operated patient whose life has been completely transformed.
Assalamualaikum, Rebecca. তুমি কেমন আছো?
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম, আলহামদুলিল্লাহ ভালো।
তোমার নাম কি?
রেবেকা সুলতানা।
তোমার বয়স কত?
16 বছর।
তুমি এখন কোন ক্লাসে পড়ো?
ক্লাস 9 এ।
আচ্ছা, তোমার যে রোগ হয়েছিল সেই রোগের নাম কি বলো তো? রিকেটস। এই রিকেটসের ফলে তোমার কি কি অসুবিধা হতো বলো?
রিকেটসের পরে আমি হাঁটতে পারতাম না, শুয়ে থাকতাম, বসে থাকতাম, চলাফেরা করতে পারতাম না।
তো তোমার যে চিকিৎসা করছিল ওই চিকিৎসাটা কি ধরনের চিকিৎসা করা হয়েছিল তোমাকে?
অপারেশন করাচ্ছে হাঁটার জন্য, অপারেশন করার পর হাঁটার জন্য একটা ট্যাং দিছে, এগুলো দিয়ে আমি আস্তে আস্তে হাঁটতাম। তা হাঁটার পর একটু একটু ভালো হয়েছে আর এখন চলাফেরা করতে পারি।
অপারেশনের পর তুমি এখন ভালো চলাফেরা করতে পারো?
মাদ্রাসায় যেতে পারি।
মাদ্রাসায় গিয়ে স্কুলে লাগে? তোমার বন্ধু বান্ধবীদের সাথে খেলাধুলা করতে পারো?
করতে পারি,
সব কিছু করতে পারো। এখন তোমার ভালো লাগে? তুমি এখন তোমার জীবনে কি হতে চাও?
ডাক্তার।
ওকে, ধন্যবাদ, অনেক ধন্যবাদ, থ্যাংক ইউ।
The Chakaria team and their families finished this long day singing in a restaurant. Tomorrow, the sun will once again rise over Chakaria.
এই
গান ছিঁড়ে নদীর তীরে নিজেকে হারিয়ে যেন পাই ফিরে ফিরে এই কবিতার প্রচ্ছদ পটে কত আনন্দ বেদনা মিলন বিরহ সংকটে এই পদ্মা এই